Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice holds a shadow that points away from twilight. On the ice, frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice reflects light with delayed alignment. Nothing drifts here, yet frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice stays fixed and contained. The boundary around frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice looks sealed, unnaturally smooth. Sea ice pressure ridges should rise, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice shows none. Wind combs snow nearby. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice remains strangely untouched. Rigging lines appear taut, and frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice refuses natural slack. Corrosion exists, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice looks preserved, held in place. Footsteps sound close, then distant. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice warps distance cues. Compass bearings disagree, while frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice keeps the same orientation. Cloud cover shifts overhead. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice keeps identical exposure. The sky darkens, yet frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice stays evenly lit and clear. Ice crystals glitter, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice absorbs the sound of cracking. A fracture begins, then frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice halts at midline. Hull contact shows weight, yet frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice leaves no compression scars. Under the keel area, frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice seems suspended without support. Edges stay too sharp. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice rejects blur like a filter. My focus is steady, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice overdefines every boundary. Reflections split briefly on ice. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice remains single. Two mirror lines appear, yet frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice never duplicates physically. Snow grains skid, then stop where frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice begins. The drift line behaves trapped, and frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice enforces a limit. Temperature feels normal, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice shows no melt halo. Frost patterns stop abruptly. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice interrupts their geometry. A low groan arrives late. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice desynchronizes sound. Radio static rises, and frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice makes it pulse in steps. Metal creaks repeat exactly. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice loops the same interval. Every echo returns flat. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice cancels depth in air. The deck is buried, yet frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice outlines rails precisely. Broken mast angles wrong, and frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice refuses further collapse. Ice fog forms elsewhere. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice stays in clean visibility. A distant gull passes, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice produces no moving shadow. Sun angle shifts, yet frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice shadow length does not change. Snowfall begins, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice remains unspeckled and clean. Flakes land near it. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice rejects contact like sealed glass. Old paint flakes should scatter, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice keeps perfect edges. The nameplate is unreadable. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice keeps it erased. Ice at the bow looks cut. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice fits a slot. Pressure lines converge, then frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice stops them dead. Step closer again. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice makes distance feel longer. The horizon stays level, yet frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice distorts scale perception. Surface glare should bloom. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice keeps highlights restrained. Camera exposure shifts, but frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice stays unchanged. Every frame matches. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice refuses new detail. I look away briefly. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice returns sharper than before. The same shadow error remains. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice does not correct. Ice pops nearby, yet frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice remains silent and wrong. Cracks reroute around it. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice behaves like a barrier. Nothing explains this. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice stays contained and incomplete. Tracks in snow loop back. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice resets them to zero. Leave now and frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice will still be closer on replay. Frozen abandoned ship locked in sea ice remains fixed, yet the sealed boundary keeps tightening.